Parenting a strong-willed child can be challenging. They are often bossy and argumentative, lack patience, and always seem to want to know why they should do something before they obey. Kids with strong and determined personalities also tend to have very strong and intense emotions, stronger than other children. And they are often persistent, very assertive, and have strong opinions. While this same resolve can be beneficial to them when they're adults, for instance, it can help them stand up for what's right and achieve their goals. Right now, while they're young, parenting can be very difficult. I'm Marisa from Call to Mothering, and I encourage and equip moms who are raising toddlers to teens. In today's video, I'm sharing several tips to help you work with your child's strong-willed personality instead of against it. With some creative, out-of-the-box thinking, you'll be able to not only parent them more effectively, but also gain insight into why the way they act the way they do. Number one is approach discipline creatively. While it's important to set boundaries, traditional, strict approaches to discipline may not always work with strong-willed children. Instead of using punishment or shame, try using discipline techniques that focus on learning and teaching instead. Your strong-willed child is an experiential learner. That means that he needs to see for himself whether the stove really is hot. Yeah. So unless you're worried about a serious injury, it's more effective to let your child learn through experience instead of trying to control him. Another way to put this is, let him face natural consequences. These are the result of a child's action or behavior without any additional consequence or punishment from a parent. If a child continues to play roughly with a toy after you have warned him, the natural consequence may be that he breaks it. By allowing your child to experience the natural consequences of his actions, you can help him learn more effectively and develop a sense of responsibility, and ultimately it helps him learn from his mistakes in a positive way. When parenting a strong-willed child, it can also be helpful to try a problem-solving approach. So for instance, when your child needs to clean up his toys, you can help him decide how to do that. So he can start by picking up his blocks first, and then move on to his trains, and then put his Legos away. And you can even assist him in setting a timer for each of these pieces or parts of the task. So the cleaning up of the toys is not an option. That's not up for grabs. But how your child does it can be. Number two is pick your battles. Strong-willed children are amazingly driven to be in control of any situation. Although this goes against many of our motherly instincts, we have to realize that some battles just aren't worth it. If we attempt to correct every single opposition, we're just going to face one power struggle after another. When my daughter was little, she saw her bedroom as an imaginary playground with endless possibilities for creativity and fun. Simply put, she greatly struggled to keep her room clean. Although her idea of clean and organized was vastly different from mine, I learned over time to compromise with her in this area. As long as her room didn't look like a total disaster, I was able to give her a little bit of leeway and ultimately be happy with the way her room looked. If it doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, then save your time and your child's patience for what really does. Ask yourself, does the behavior need to change, or is it just annoying? If a problem is a safety or quality of life concern, put your focus there. If it's just a personal preference, consider being flexible with your expectations. Number three is use active listening. Actively listening to children and talking to them in a way that makes them feel loved and respected can be a very effective approach for strong-willed children in particular, because it respects their independence. When your child is upset or acting out, try to put yourself in their shoes and use active listening to understand their perspective. If a strong-willed child feels that they're being misunderstood or aren't being heard, it can create a power struggle between you. To avoid this, try using empathetic language like, "I can see that you're feeling frustrated right now. Can you tell me more about what's going on?" Most important, when your child is being forceful, Remind yourself that this is not an expression of strength. Rather, it's your child feeling vulnerable. The more you can connect with them and reassure them, the safer your child will feel. That means ultimately less opposition and defiance. Remember, defiance isn't a discipline problem. It's actually a relationship problem, and you are half of the relationship. When you change, meaning that you stay calm and warm even in those tough moments, often your child changes too. By the way, if you are enjoying this content, please subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos, and consider sharing with a mom who you think would find this helpful. Number 4 is offer choices. Strong-willed children like to feel in control and independent, so offering them choices can help them feel as if they have some say in the matter. While this can make you feel like you're giving up control, it's important to let your child have some ability in making decisions for themselves. Children still need to know that you, as the parent, ultimately has the power and the authority, but they also want to feel empowered themselves. So providing choices rather than issuing demands can help you accomplish this goal. For example, you can say, would you like to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt today? Or do you want to read a book or play with your toys before bedtime? This is called giving kids agency. When given choices between two things, and usually not more than two, they are more likely to feel a sense of agency rather than feeling forced into something, which can help them feel like they're in control. Number 5 is explain your reasoning. Strong-willed children often need to understand the why behind requests, decisions, or boundaries that parents establish. Taking the time to explain your reasoning can head off what might otherwise be a battle. You don't have to justify your requests, but your child wants to understand your thought process. Rather than just telling a strong-willed kid, you must do this or you have to do it this way, you can explain why it's important to do something in a particular way and what the beneficial outcome will be. Of course, you want your child to do what you say, but not because he's blindly obedient, meaning that he always does what somebody bigger tells him to do. No, you want him to do what you say because ultimately he trusts you. You want him to do what you've asked him to do and follow through with requests because he's learned that even though you can't always say yes to what he wants, ultimately you have his best interests at heart. Number 6 is use rewards the right way. Rewards can sometimes get a bad rap in parenting because they can be used as bribes if we're not careful. But rewards can be used effectively to reinforce behaviors that we want to see more of. Rewards don't always need to be tied to material things either, and they don't solely need to curb unwanted behavior. It can be used to promote positive behaviors. For instance, if your strong-willed child doesn't want to do their chores because they're in the middle of doing something else, you can say, you first have to finish cleaning up your room. And when you finish, guess what? You can watch or you can play Minecraft for 30 minutes or you can watch your favorite show. You can also use your words as a reward. If your strong-willed child has been undoing something and they end up listening to you, take the time to notice those moments and verbally acknowledge them. For example, you could say, I really appreciate how you listened to me when I asked you to pick up your toys. Great job. Positive praise goes a long way for strong-willed kids. All too often, children hear what they're doing wrong, and it makes a huge difference when you actually tell them what they are doing right. Raising a strong-willed child can be emotionally exhausting at times, but as long as you resist the impulse to break their will, God can use their personality and that strong, tenacious resolve for His glory and your child's good. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you are not just a mom.